Welcome to BL Stories, where romance, drama, and unforgettable boys' love come to life. Love knows no limits, and the best stories aren't always straight. Subscribe now and join our growing BL-loving family. Chapter 34. Nathan's Point of View. Dakota had been on my mind day and night since the moment I blurted out how I felt. The worst part wasn't the embarrassment, it was how much my chest ached. I'd lie in bed and picture us together in 100 different little scenes until hours slipped by and I realized I'd been drifting somewhere between hope and fantasy. Then he left for Norway. He told me it would only be a few days for a cousin's wedding, but once he saw his parents he decided to stay longer. I understood, family has a way of stretching a trip you meant to keep short, but the distance felt like a punch. Our messages grew sparse. We never made the date we talked about. I convinced myself he'd lost interest. I was probably overreacting, but ever since Dakota, my mind had a bad habit of assuming the worst. So, when my phone buzzed and his name lit the screen, I almost dropped it. "I think I need your help. Are you busy?" I answered so fast I may have invented a new texting speed. "No, what's up? Can you pick me up at the airport? My ride bailed and I'd like to avoid a taxi. I'll be there in 30 minutes. He wanted me to get him. Out of all the people he could have asked, he asked me. I had assignments and a pile of adulting to do, but I wasn't going to tell him that. I asked for the terminal and rushed through a hasty shower with my phone in hand. As soon as I had the address I dressed, jumped in the car and drove. On the way I daydreamed so hard I nearly crashed. I pictured meeting him at the gate and being that cliché reunited couple, dramatic, public, and ridiculously romantic. Of course, reality had other plans. Traffic was brutal and I pulled into the airport at least 20 minutes late. I was annoyed at myself and at life for being inconvenient. When I finally saw him standing there with luggage, something softened. He looked small and a little lost in the best possible way. I slammed the car door too loudly and he jumped. Then his face lit up when he saw me. He spread his arms like he wanted to hug me, and this was not a bro hug. He wore a short-sleeved shirt with a subtle floral print and beige shorts. As our hug broke, I noticed the top buttons of his shirt open and felt my pulse skip in a way that made me take a breath to steady myself. "Hey," I said, bending to pick up his bag. "Missed you," he said. "I missed you too." I lied and used the luggage to hide the awkward flutter in my chest as I loaded his things into the trunk. "Ready to go?" "Yeah." Traffic made the drive long. We fell into easy conversation, the kind that made the car feel cozy despite the jam. He told me about his flight, how he'd had a whole row to himself and had spent time reading. When I asked what, he named an author and mentioned a dark short story he'd enjoyed. "What makes it dark?" I asked. "It's set in a high-tech underground bunker after a major attack. It focuses on the bunker's routines, the people who live there, and a complicated relationship between two roommates." The ending left me shaken. "It's only 6 chapters, but it really stays with you." He added casually that it included mature themes. I laughed, not entirely sure how to react. "I don't know what half of that means." "What's the point?" He shrugged. "It's intense and unusual. You should read it if you like darker stories." I tried to keep my responses light. When he laughed, something in me melted. That laugh was small and unexpectedly sweet. "Has anyone ever told you that you have a cute laugh?" I asked. "My parents," he said, grinning. "Oh, loser," I teased. "Has anyone ever told you that you have a cute snort?" he shot back. I snorted, which only made him laugh harder. He asked if I was coming to a show. I said I wasn't, and that answer felt oddly charged in my head for reasons I couldn't explain. I chased the awkward thought away and asked if we could stop by the grocery store since he had nothing at home. He offered to come with me and I insisted I would drop him off, but he wouldn't hear of it. "Are you sure?" he asked. "I don't want to drag you." "Never," I said. "I'm coming with you." Our walk through the store was full of small touches, brushes of arms, standing close in the aisle, and each one made me want to hold him a little longer. We talked about food, about old habits. He admitted he used to be vegan, then started eating meat to gain weight and feel more confident in his body. He looked embarrassed when he explained it, but also relieved about how he felt now. "That's good," I said. "As long as you feel better." "Working out sucks," he said, laughing. "But it helped." "You can come with me to the gym sometime," he offered. "I'll think about it," I said, which was my way of pretending I'd consider it without promising anything. He mentioned he wanted to cook for me, which made something in my chest lurch in a very good way. He muttered, "Homemade pizza. Because the guy I like is basic." My breath caught. I tried to keep my face neutral. "You like me?" I asked, voice small and hopeful. He looked at me as if he'd been waiting for me to ask. The grocery cart rolled on between us, and for a moment everything slowed, the hum of the store, the fluorescent lights, the ordinary world, and all that remained was the question hanging in the air between us. He shot me a look. "How many times are you going to ask me that?" "Until we're married and I know for sure I've trapped you," I teased. He laughed so hard he looked like a cartoon, head tipped back and clutching his chest. He kept pushing the cart down the aisle with that grin. He hadn't rejected the idea, there was hope. "Do you want anything else?" Dakota asked after we retraced a few aisles looking for something he'd missed. "You," I said without thinking. He tried to play it cool, though his smile gave him away. "I'll go through self-checkout. Can you get the car and wait for me outside?" "Sure." For a moment I wanted to kiss him right there, but I didn't. Outside I took a deep breath and tried to calm the jittery knot in my stomach. I missed him so much it hurt. Over text we'd been bold and loose with each other. In person, boundaries felt different and scarier. Real life didn't always match the way you sounded in a screen full of messages. He didn't seem like the type to overthink things. He'd told me about hooking up with Derek pretty casually, and it hadn't been romantic. They'd been friends who slept together. That made me wonder, if he could be that casual with someone new, why hadn't he shared that side of himself with me, someone he'd known longer? The question nagged me as I walked around, parked the car, and waited for him. I had only a few hours before night fell and I had to go back to the dorm, time that felt both generous and painfully short. He came out pushing the cart with the bags tucked inside and insisted on loading the groceries himself. I let him. On the drive back he scrolled recipes and admitted, "I've never made pizza from scratch." I could have bought one, but where's the fun in that? "It'll be great," I said. Carrying the white grocery bags into his apartment felt oddly domestic, like we were a couple returning from errands. It warmed something in my chest. Dakota hollered a playful, "I missed you guys," at his TV and couch, and I told him to cut it out, nearly tripping over a hidden jug of juice. "I need to shower before I start anything," he said, cracking his back. "You just got back. Relax. Go shower, I'll put the groceries away." He smiled and brushed his fingers along the back of my neck, a soft, intimate touch. "Thanks," he said. When he let go I replaced his hand with mine for a second, and then he disappeared into the bathroom with a towel and a change of clothes. Putting everything away took longer than it should have. Partly it was because I didn't know his kitchen, partly because I kept thinking about the way he'd touched me. Liking someone came with that ache, a whirl of excitement and fear that never settled. I wondered if it was too soon to tell him how I felt. Love, I decided, was like a single bright flower growing in a field of dead grass, fragile, needing care. My confession would be the water. Dakota felt like sunlight. When I moved to the couch, I left the kitchen tidy and listened to the shower, imagining him there, thinking things I hadn't planned to think. I tucked a cushion to my chest like a shield and prayed he wouldn't ask anything too forward. He emerged from the bathroom in shorts and a tank top that left his shoulders bare. He was fit. His presence made my heart thump in a way I wasn't used to. I tried to hide the fluttering feeling, but it was impossible. "Can I ask you some personal questions?" I said. "Sure," he answered, grabbing a water bottle. "They're kind of about being trans. Is that okay?" "Yeah. It's fine." "Have you had surgery?" "Only top surgery," he said, rifling through his dresser. "I'm not sure about anything else. I'm okay for now." "Did testosterone change you a lot?" My voice deepened, hair grew in different places, and my body shifted. "It took time and effort to get here." "It shows. You look great." He snickered. "Thanks." He was so effortlessly himself that it made me smile. Do you have a scar? I asked, gesturing to his chest. Do you want me to take my shirt off? He teased. How did you know? I asked, startled. He laughed and, after a moment's shyness, slipped his shirt off and set it on the bed. He showed me the scars, pale and slowly fading, not nearly as dramatic as I'd imagined. Seeing them made me feel oddly protective and proud of him at once. If I end up working out with you, I'll probably beat you because I'm taller, I said, half joking. He scoffed. Being taller doesn't mean anything. Don't put your shirt back on, I said quietly. You want me to keep it off? He asked. Yes. I want to look if that's okay. He hesitated, then tossed the shirt aside and settled back on the bed. My heart was racing so fast I could barely think. I took a breath and tried to ask the next question respectfully. I don't want to make you uncomfortable, I said. Remember those spicy texts? I just want to understand the situation. He laughed at my nervousness. You're really struggling, aren't you? Hey, laughing at me while I try to be respectful is rude. I shot back, even though the laugh eased some of my tension. I remember the texts, he said. We talked about being together. My face heated with embarrassment and something like anticipation. I don't even know what I want, I admitted. He looked thoughtful for a moment and then went into the hall closet. When he returned, he held out a small box with a tentative expression. I don't think this will freak you out. I use this sometimes, he said gently. It was a personal item, something intimate but not obscene. He spoke about it calmly, explaining that growing up, he hadn't had many chances to learn what he liked. I was pretty inexperienced for a long time, he said. I've learned a lot along the way. I swallowed. Until Derek? I asked, feeling like a piano had dropped on my chest. Not really, he said. We were friends and slept together once. It doesn't change what this is between us. You're not comparing me to him? I blurted. You aren't competing, he said, soft but firm. I wasn't romantically interested in Derek. I am with you. Something in me unclenched. Have you never hooked up with anyone for one night? I asked, trying to sound casual. He smiled, meeting my gaze. Maybe, but you're not a second choice. You're my choice. I guess. And am I upset about it? No. Then stop worrying and kiss me. My eyes widened in surprise. Seriously? We've been talking about it forever, waiting for the right moment. I think this is it. I leaned down and kissed him without another thought. My hand cupped his cheek as our lips met. It wasn't how I imagined, it was better. His lips were soft and warm, the kiss gentle at first, then deepening as we lost ourselves in the moment. We didn't part until our lungs reminded us we had to breathe. His blissful expression made me laugh. What? He asked with a relaxed smile. I told you my kiss would leave you flustered. Yeah, you're amazing. I hesitated, then said softly, I don't know how things were with Derek, but I want to make you feel even more cared for. Stop thinking about him, he replied. I know. Sometimes I feel like I'm not good enough. You are, he said firmly. I tried to joke, but he caught me off guard by moving closer, his eyes serious. You really don't need to compare yourself to anyone else. I pouted. Don't be mean. I'm not. I just want you to know that with me, you don't have to worry. You're more than enough. I smiled at that, warmth rushing through me. Can I ask you something personal? Go ahead. Is it different? For you? He nodded thoughtfully. Yes and no. Things change a bit, but I feel comfortable with who I am. And honestly, I like being myself. Good, I said quickly, because nothing about you bothers me. In fact, I like you exactly as you are. Thanks, Nathan. His voice softened. The tension between us felt lighter after that. We teased each other, laughed at our own awkwardness, and admitted little insecurities. Somehow, instead of driving us apart, it only pulled us closer. Later, he stretched out beside me, playfully dramatic. By the way, I'd better not hear you bring up Derek again. He was right. Derek was in the past. Dakota was here with me, and that's all that mattered. We drifted into sillier conversations, laughing until our sides hurt. Eventually, we ended up in the kitchen, where Dakota wore a bright pink apron with a unicorn on it. I nearly doubled over. "You're the cutest thing," I teased. "Glad you think so," he grinned, spinning around with a rolling pin like it was a microphone. We made a mess of the kitchen, but the pizzas turned out delicious. Afterward, we curled up, watched movies, shared a few more kisses, and just enjoyed being together. By the time I had to leave, my heart ached at the thought of saying goodbye. The second I stepped outside, I already missed him. I realized then, I wasn't just happy. I was falling in love with him. Chapter 35. Derek's point of view. Leo went quiet the moment we got into the car. Watching him like that, eyes shining as though he was holding back tears, made me want to pull him close and never let go. But I knew him well enough to give him the space he needed. He leaned against the door, gazing out the window. Not a word passed between us, not even when we pulled into the Taco Bell drive-thru. Good thing I already knew his order by heart. I was nervous. Everything I had planned that evening had crumbled. We'd left earlier than expected, and I could tell Leo hadn't been comfortable. It was my idea for him to wear the dress, and now guilt sat heavy in my chest. "I love you," I whispered. "I love you too," he replied softly. Even with his sadness, he still chose to say it back. That meant everything. We ate quietly in the car while the driver took us back to my apartment. I couldn't stop looking at him, dressed in something that didn't feel like him, makeup covering the features I adored. If I stared long enough, I could see through it all, picking out the cheekbones, the curve of his natural lips, the long lashes. He was beautiful. Always had been. By the time we got home, it was close to midnight. The living room lights were off. Either Sasha had gone to bed or he was out with Nicole. My bet was the latter. Leo stumbled as we walked inside, muttered something under his breath, and hurried into the bedroom. A moment later, strange noises came through the door, probably his way of fighting with the outfit. I gave him space and busied myself with dishes until I heard him call. "Derek." "Yeah. Can you help me?" I found him in the bathroom, stripped of the dress and wig, standing in boxer briefs at the sink. He was halfway through wiping the makeup off, though the corset still clung tightly to him. Without a word, I stepped behind him and began untying the knots. He met my eyes in the mirror, his face streaked with makeup and water dripping down his chin. "Better?" I asked, placing the corset on the counter. "Yeah. Thanks." He scrubbed at his face until only faint smudges remained around his eyes, which somehow still suited him. Then, to my horror, he started biting at the fake nails to pull them off. "I thought those things were permanent," I said, clueless. "They can be," he chuckled, "but these are glued on. Easier for school and work." Piece by piece, he removed the jewelry until he reached the fake wedding ring. He slid it off gently, placing it on the counter. My heart raced. Without even thinking, I picked it up, and before I knew it, I was kneeling. My chest tightened as Leo dried his face and turned, confusion flickering in his eyes when he noticed me on the floor. The proposal I had planned for a perfect setting vanished. "It was just us here now." "It's not a fake ring," I began, stumbling over my words but determined. "I thought I'd surprise you in some beautiful place, while you already had the ring on. But now I'm glad I didn't do it there. That wouldn't have been fair. I would have been asking Alice, not Leo. And I want to ask you here with just us." His eyes glistened, life returning to his expression as I continued, voice unsteady. "I've loved you since the moment I first saw you." Before he could answer, a voice thundered from downstairs. "Derek!" I froze. My dad. The moment broke. I'll stop here since the story then jumps into the flashback with Leonardo moving in. He responded with short little nods. They were kind of cute. Suddenly, I felt like I was talking too much, which was unusual for me. "You don't talk much, do you?" I asked. "I'm just trying to adjust." "This is all new to me," he said softly. I smiled. "You know what, we actually haven't properly met." I took his hand and gave it a playful shake since he didn't really shake back. "I'm Derek and you are?" "I'm Leonardo, but call me Leo." Years later, I found myself staring at his face, tears in my eyes, remembering the young Leo the first had first met. All the memories of the years we had spent together flooded back. We've gone through so much, I whispered, my vision blurring. But life brought us back together for a reason. I know now that I'm meant to share this life with you. I choose you. Will you choose me too, and spend the rest of your life with me? I wiped the tears quickly so I could see his face clearly. Leo cracked a smile, the first one since we had left the mansion. Tears streamed down his cheeks too. I'd love to spend the rest of my life with you, Derek, Leo said, nodding happily. I nearly choked as I swallowed. With shaky hands, I took his and slipped the ring back onto his finger. Only this time, it was official. He stared at the shiny ring for a few seconds, then squealed with joy, jumping like a kid who had just won the grand prize. I'm engaged, he shouted, laughing and then crying all at once as he collapsed to the floor. I pulled him up and sat him on the counter again. Our faces were just inches apart, but I didn't kiss him yet, I just wanted to look at him. All I had ever wanted was to look at him. He was proof that beauty could grow even in the darkest places. Proof that love was real, kind, and forgiving. I can't believe you proposed to me, he whispered. I can't believe I proposed to you in my bathroom, I replied, half laughing through my nerves. He leaned forward and kissed me. The kiss was long and sweet, full of love and relief. His emotions poured into me gently, like a soothing waterfall. Wouldn't have picked a better place, he said, brushing my cheek as our eyes locked. I smiled and wiped my tears again. Even though the hardest part, popping the question, was over, my heart still raced with nerves. But rejection wasn't coming this time. Not tonight. Leo wrapped his arms around my neck tightly. I held him by the waist, letting him squeeze me as if he never wanted to let go. I love you, Derek. I love you so much, he whispered near my ear. And I love you, I replied. Can I take your last name? He asked. I laughed. Of course, whatever you want. He slipped off the counter, excitement all over his face. Should I call my mom? I don't know what to do. This is the first time I've ever been proposed to. Oh gosh, I feel like I might burst. We both laughed. Do you like the ring? I asked. He lifted his hand, admiring it. I hadn't gone with a traditional band. I wanted something unique, something I knew he would appreciate. Leo didn't like labels or limits. He believed anyone should be free to express themselves. I love it, he said, his eyes lighting up. I really do. It's beautiful. I'm never taking it off. I gave him a quick kiss. His eyes begged for more, but I smiled and rubbed his shoulders. Go ahead and call your mom. I'm going to open the letter now. We'll celebrate more in a bit. I'll stay with you, he said. Unless you'd rather be alone? Stay, I said. We'll open it together. I pulled out the plain white envelope from my jacket. Something about it felt off, like it wasn't the original, but the letter inside was what mattered. When I unfolded it, I read aloud. Derek and Molly, I'm sorry that I wasn't strong enough to be there for you. I wish I could have been the perfect mother, but this world broke me. I am sorry for causing you pain. I am so sorry. Derek, remember when you used to wish you were an astronaut so you could explore the treasures of the universe? Although it might not make you forgive me, I've left you and your sister your very own treasure, buried right under the stars, where only a cloudless sky and thousands of lights could guide your way. I love you. The words were scribbled in pencil on the back of an old magazine ad. The paper was so faded it was almost unreadable. I stood speechless, confusion overwhelming me. Why did my uncle hide this from me? I whispered. Why did he insist on giving it to me in person? Leo hesitated. Your grandma told me something about the letter. What did she tell you? I asked urgently. She said it's a map. And your uncle knows it too. That's why he kept it from you. A map? My confusion deepened. A map of what? From what your mother wrote, a treasure, Leo answered. I stared at the letter again, reading it over and over. Buried under the stars. Cloudless sky. Thousands of lights. I think I know what this means. Before I could finish, Leo placed his hand gently over my mouth. Derek, I'm sorry if I made you worry earlier. I've been thinking. I told you I felt unsafe, but it was more than that. I felt like I was in real danger. I don't know why, but my instincts are strong. And right now, I don't trust these people. Not even a little. Not even your uncle. I frowned. Leo, what happened? I don't think you should talk about this letter. Not to anyone. Not anywhere. Someone could be listening. I raised a brow, still unsure. I'm serious, he said firmly. Think about it. Your grandma hinted it's a map. Your uncle's name is Victor, and let's be honest, how many good Victors do you know in stories? He wants the treasure, but he never solved the puzzle. Now that he's met you, he'll wait for you to solve it, and then try to take it for himself. I sighed and smiled faintly. This is why I'm marrying you. Because I'm smart? Leo teased, batting his lashes dramatically. If that makes you feel better, sure. He grinned mischievously, and despite the tension in the air, I felt grateful. Because in that moment I knew, whatever dangers lay ahead, we would face them together. Chapter 36. Leo's point of view. Today started off as one of the best days ever. Some might say the reason was silly, but honestly, as a hardworking, amazingly good-looking, and fairly clever man-boy, getting the day off from my hardest class felt like getting a car for Christmas. According to campus gossip, Mr. Green's wife had accidentally gone into labor in the back of her friend's truck. The drama was juicy. Still, other people's drama wasn't mine to worry about. I spent most of the morning catching up with friends. I had a really good bagel with Nathan, and later at lunch I went with a few girlfriends to a vegetarian restaurant and politely pretended the food was the best thing I'd ever had. Truthfully, I missed Derek. A lot. The clingy part of me wanted to whine and complain, but what good would that do? Everything I thought about somehow circled back to him. That was just the way love worked. I kept checking the time on my phone. 4 o'clock. Still no message from Derek. I told myself I'd wait at least 2 minutes before responding once he finally texted, so I wouldn't look too desperate. But then I remembered, we were already together. I could be as desperate as I wanted. We were engaged. I grinned to myself. Trap master, I whispered like a mischievous villain. You want to join? Samantha asked, thinking I had spoken to her. There were at least 5 girls huddled in front of a big television, practicing K-pop dance moves. They begged me to join. Don't assume my role, I teased dramatically, standing up. The girls cheered and soon I was in the middle, showing them how it was done. If I hadn't chosen my current path, I might have been a dancer. Moving to music came naturally to me. I'd never taken a class, but remembering choreography was easy. On the dance floor, I was like a siren calling out to sailors. Derek both loved and hated that about me. The video started. Twice as likey. The girls giggled nervously, but I already knew the whole routine. I moved confidently, singing along in Korean, and for a moment, we looked like a real group, until poor Wendy tripped over her own foot. Most of the girls gave up after the chorus, but 2 stuck with me as we danced through the entire song. I had unofficially become their dance teacher, though I wasn't getting paid. The attention was fun, though. After an hour of rehearsing, I hugged my friends goodbye and headed back to the dorms, wondering what Derek was up to. When I entered my room, the blinds were closed, making it unusually dark. I thought about taking a shower and pulled off my shirt as I walked toward my side of the room. Hello. The voice startled me so badly I screamed. I hadn't noticed the man sitting at my desk, watching me. Arms crossed, dressed in a sharp suit. My stomach dropped. Derek's uncle. He rose slowly, his expression unreadable. So, it really was you, he said pointedly. Why are you in my room? I asked, forcing calm into my voice even as my heart raced. I wanted to see for myself, he said, and apologize for my behavior. Most people just send an email, I muttered, backing up slightly. He ignored the comment and stepped closer. My nerves spiked. Why was he here? You really fooled me, he said quietly, studying my face. Impressive transformation. I stiffened. His eyes dropped, not in the way I feared, but to my hand. The ring glinted under the dim light. I'm confused, he murmured, reaching to touch it. Are you 2 actually engaged? Yes, I said firmly, pulling my hand away. His blue eyes narrowed, unreadable. For some reason, I haven't been able to stop thinking about you. Every instinct screamed red flag. I cleared my throat, trying to sound braver than I felt. "Why are you here?" "I wanted to see if Alice was real," he replied cryptically. "And how exactly did you find me?" "Wasn't hard." His smile chilled me. The tension grew heavier. His gaze lingered too long, and when his hand lifted toward my face, brushing my jaw, I smacked it away instantly. His expression darkened. He clenched his jaw, annoyance flashing across his features. That was the moment I knew I needed to get out. But instead of retreating, he pressed forward, his tone sharp, his presence overwhelming. I had thought today would be one of the best days. Now, standing there in my own dorm room with Derek's uncle cornering me, I realized something else entirely. It might turn into one of the worst. The guy went down, and I didn't waste a second. I grabbed my shirt, bolted out of the room, and kept running until I was far from the building. Something told me not to scream for help, not yet. The obvious choice was to call someone, but instinct said to keep moving. I slowed only when I reached the edge of campus, sticking to side streets and alleys until I ended up at a Burger King. No way someone like him would follow me here, right? Inside was quiet, just a few people at the drive-thru. I rushed to the bathroom, locked myself in a stall, and finally pulled out my phone. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped it. Derek didn't pick up the first time, and panic rose in my chest. Thankfully, he answered on the second try. "Hey, what's up?" His voice made me feel like I could breathe again. "Derek." "Yeah? What's wrong?" I couldn't stop my voice from shaking. Hiding fear wasn't an option, not from him. He always noticed everything. "Why your uncle?" "He was in my room." "What? At school? In your dorm?" "Yes." "Sitting at my desk when I walked in." "What was he doing there?" His confusion mirrored mine. "I don't know." "I guess I do, but I don't want to know." I tried to take a deep breath, instantly regretting it in a fast food bathroom. He tried to cross a line with me. I pushed him off and ran. Derek went silent for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was sharp. "He did what?" "I got away. But something doesn't feel right." He offered me money. Like this was normal for him. "I'm coming to you right now," Derek said firmly. "Derek, I can't deal with this on top of everything else," I said, my lip trembling. "I still have assignments. I can't lose focus. I need things to stay normal." "I'm sorry, Leo. I'll handle it, I promise." I broke then, tears spilling fast. I never imagined something like this would happen to me. It was overwhelming. Pressure from school, pressure from life, and now this. Through choked sobs I managed, "Does this mean I was just assaulted?" "Hey, listen to me. You're safe now. I'm coming. Stay on the phone." I sniffled loudly, the sound echoing in the stall. "I'm crying in a Burger King bathroom." "Cry it out. Don't hold it in. You're supposed to tell me to stop." "I'm not telling the love of my life to bottle it up. If you're not okay, you're not okay." His words made my heart twist. I laughed weakly through tears. What if this messes me up? What if it changes the way I see everything? "You're stronger than that," Derek said gently. "And no one, absolutely no one, has the right to make you feel this way." The bathroom door opened, and a man's gruff voice asked, "Who's in here yelling?" "Leo," I muttered. "You can't be in here screaming, man. I'll have to ask you to leave." I stepped out, eyes red, meeting the worker's gaze in the mirror. I didn't even wipe my tears. These were battle scars, and I wore them proudly. "What's happening?" Derek asked in my ear. "I'm being kicked out of the bathroom for making noise," I said, walking past the man. "That's not true," the worker quickly added, loud enough for Derek to hear. "Stay put if you can," Derek said. "Nathan's on his way." Nathan. That made me feel a little safer already. I ordered food to pass the time, locking eyes with the worker in a silent squinting contest while waiting for my fries. He broke first when his mop duties pulled him away. Victory. I sat in the corner, nibbling fries slowly, trying to ground myself. Nathan arrived 15 minutes later, bursting through the doors like he hadn't seen me in years. His eyes lit up, and in a second, I was lifted into a bear hug. Sorry that happened, he murmured, spinning me once before setting me down. Want to get out of here? Yes, please. Derek asked me to stay with you until he gets here. We drove around for a while, checking the dorms from a distance. My nerves stayed sharp, like I could sense trouble before it arrived. Nathan trusted my instincts, called me a psychic even, and it made me smile through the fear. Later, parked near campus, we sat listening to music and talking. He raved about Dakota, and I admitted I wished I was some weird alien creature instead of a stressed-out human student. Between the laughter and the heaviness, one thing became clear. Life wasn't easy, but I had people who loved me. And no matter what came next, that meant I wasn't facing it alone. Nothing new. You? I asked. Just thinking about getting my own place after you leave. Dakota might ask me to move in, which is why I haven't told him I'm considering it yet, Nathan admitted, fiddling with his thumb. You don't want to move in with him? I asked. He looked nervous. It's not that. I've never been in love like this. I've heard so many horror stories about couples moving in together and things falling apart. I'm scared it'll ruin what we have. Don't be afraid to tell him how you feel, I said, looking him straight in the eye. You've been around Derek and me long enough to learn a few things. It's okay to be worried, but talk to him. Don't let fear make the choices for you. I love your character development, he teased. I playfully slapped his shoulder. I'm serious. I know. I'll talk to him, he said. By the time Derek arrived, it was about 7. The sun was lowering, and when I jumped out of Nathan's car and into Derek's open arms, I threw myself at him like my whole world was inside that hug. He held me tight and I felt immediately safer. Thanks for coming, I said. Are you okay? He rubbed the back of my head. I will be, I lied, then grinned when he told me he'd called his grandma and she didn't know where Chandler was. I don't think he even knows what he's up to, Derek added. We said goodbye to Nathan. He saluted like an idiot and got in the car. The interior felt freezing like he'd left the AC on, but I liked the way Derek's presence warmed me anyway. He hadn't bothered to change from his basketball shorts, which was so him, practical and always in a rush. My grandma said Chandler wouldn't hurt you, Derek said quietly. What does that even mean? I asked. She meant he's not necessarily dangerous, a horrible person maybe, but not violent. He sighed. Still, I'm not letting him near you. I can handle him, I muttered, but the tremble in my voice betrayed me. Have you called anyone at your dorm? Security? Derek asked. No. I don't even know how he got in, I said. Maybe I left my door unlocked, but after having my laptop stolen at that bar, I'm usually careful. Until my grandma finds him, do you want to stay with me for a bit? I can even get a hotel if we need to. My voice went high and small at the offer. Really? Yeah. He hesitated, then added, we can go look for that treasure too. He told me where he thought his mother's treasure might be, a little hilltop spot they used to go to at night to watch the stars. It was a place they'd shared, a place that meant something to both of us. It was close enough. We could be there in under an hour. If we wait, someone else might find it, he said. And I don't know what my uncle is doing around here. From what your grandma hinted, maybe he's interested in me for all the wrong reasons, or he's trying to see if I know something, I said. Either way, it's creepy. Also, his wife seemed detached, Derek continued. Money can make people do strange things. Oh my God, I blurted, half laughing, half horrified as a theory formed in my head. Maybe she's just along for the show. Derek listened without rolling his eyes, and for that alone I felt grateful. He let me ramble instead of shutting me down, and that steadied me like nothing else. We drove toward the old house, nostalgia leaking out of every memory lane we passed. I kept glancing at Derek as we drove. He looked grown somehow, steadier than ever. My chest tightened with a dizzying mix of love and fear. Then, out of nowhere, the back windshield exploded. Glass rained down and panic surged through me. Someone had just opened fire. Derek's grip tightened on the wheel, but he didn't swerve wildly. He checked that I was buckled in, eyes steady and focused. 2 black SUVs appeared, flanking us and closing in as if they'd rehearsed the move. The road was empty, no other cars, no witnesses. One of the SUVs rolled down a rear window and the world dipped into slow motion. Derek slammed the brakes. My seatbelt held me in as my body surged forward. He pulled the car into reverse, arm around me as he scanned the scene in the rearview. I saw only dark-tinted windows and nothing familiar inside. We were boxed in and my stomach dropped into my shoes. I could feel the hum of the engine, the crunch of shattered glass, and Derek's calm breathing beside me. He moved like he knew what he was doing, every small motion calculated to keep us alive, and that steadied me enough to not completely lose it. We crept backwards, inch by inch, until we found a narrow gap and made a break for it. Derek drove like the road was a chessboard and we were playing for our lives. I clung to him not just because I was terrified, but because in that moment I knew, absolutely, that whatever face danger showed us, we would be together. When we finally put some distance between us and the SUVs, my knees went weak. Derek didn't say much. He didn't have to. His hand found mine, squeezed, and I knew we were both shaken, both furious, but both determined. "Breathe," he told me quietly. I tried. The world had shifted, but one thing remained. He was by my side. And somehow, that made the fear a little less heavy. The car spun, and since I had already slid down to the floor, the only way I could tell which direction we were moving was by the pull of gravity. The black SUVs caught up, their tires screeching against the pavement, and gunfire cracked in the distance. My heart pounded so hard it felt like it might burst. Fear of losing Derek pressed down on me like a weight I couldn't lift. He had to keep driving, and every second behind the wheel put him in danger. I tilted my head up and caught a glimpse of the sky, darkening, fading into night. The sun was slipping away, and with it, the small comfort of daylight. Cars honked in the distance. We'd finally reached a busier road, but it didn't matter. The men chasing us didn't care about witnesses. One SUV swerved dangerously close to my side, and I saw a man leaning out of the back window, holding a weapon. I didn't know what it was called, I only knew it was terrifying. Derek's hands were steady on the wheel, his focus razor-sharp. His driving was incredible, and I wanted to tell him how proud I was, how much I loved him. But I didn't dare. If I spoke, I'd break down, and the last thing he needed was distraction. Then, his window shattered. The sound was deafening. Glass sprayed everywhere, cutting shallow lines across my arms. I wasn't hit by the bullets, but the reality sank in, hiding wasn't going to protect me. If they hit, they hit. Adrenaline surged. I sat upright, clutching the dashboard, as Derek pressed the car forward. We were nearing the edge of California, speeding toward the state line. "Call my grandmother," Derek said, shoving his phone toward me. I scrolled through his contacts until I found her name. Grandmother? With a question mark. Even in this moment, that detail almost made me laugh. She picked up quickly. "Why are people chasing us?" I shouted before she could even greet me. What's going on?" Her voice was soft, frail, but filled with urgency. "Black SUVs. They're chasing us, shooting at us," I explained, forcing myself to slow down. "Where are you both?" she asked. I rattled off our location as clearly as I could. Then she hung up. "She just hung up on me," I said, offended. "I think I lost them," Derek muttered, checking the rearview mirror over and over. "Or they pulled back because we're in public now," I said, peering over my shoulder. If anyone was paying attention, police should be here any second. But no sirens came. No flashing lights. Nothing. 10 minutes later, the phone rang again. I snatched it up. "Why'd you hang up?" I asked. "It's Victor," she said calmly. "Of course it is," I muttered. I got the truth out of him. It only took 10 minutes. "Only," I said, my sarcasm leaking through. He admitted to hiring men to follow Derek, but he claims he never ordered an attack. They went rogue, thought they could get money from him directly. He has no control over them. "They've stopped following us," I said, glancing at Derek. "For now," she warned. "But they'll be back. I know how these people work. They won't stop until they succeed." "Should we go to the police?" I asked. "That's the last place you should go. Don't trust anyone. Not even you?" I tested. Her voice hardened. "You can trust me. I'm Derek's grandmother, and I'll do whatever it takes to keep you both safe." "Fair enough," I said. "Keep this up and you might earn some serious grandma points." "Are you both okay?" she asked. "Not injured," I confirmed, glancing at Derek just to be sure. He was fine. Shaken, but fine. "I'll send you directions to a safe house. Don't stop for anything. I'll meet you there." She hung up again. Derek's knuckles tightened around the steering wheel. For the first time, I noticed his hands trembling. "She said to keep driving," I told him softly. We never sugar-coated things with each other. If I told him everything was going to be okay, he'd know I didn't believe it. The silence between us was heavy but honest. I read the address out loud when the text came through. "Are you sure you read that right?" "That's far," Derek said. "Yeah, but she said to take a single road that leads straight there." "Feels like a road trip again," Derek muttered, almost smiling. "Maybe the author's just trying to fix the plot holes," I joked weakly. "It's too late for that," he said, but I caught the corner of his mouth twitch upward. Hours passed. His grandmother checked in often, her voice crisp and commanding each time. But even her reassurance couldn't stop the knot of dread in my chest. Then Derek noticed it, another vehicle trailing us. It had been behind us for too long. His grandmother hadn't called in a while, which only added to the tension. He adjusted the rearview mirror, eyes narrowing. A flash of movement, then gunfire erupted again. "Hang on!" Derek shouted, pressing harder on the gas. My hands shook as I tried to call his grandmother again, but she didn't answer. The road stretched on endlessly, fields on either side, empty sky above us. No help, no escape. Panic clawed at me. Then, out of nowhere, another thought hit me. A name. Someone I'd never expected to reach out to again. Donovan. I had his number. I never used it. My heart pounded for a different reason now. Would he even answer? I typed fast. "Leo, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but you picked me up on your motorcycle once. I don't have time to explain, but I need help. It's life or death." "Donovan, I remember. What's happening?" "Leo, my boyfriend and I are being chased. They're armed. We're headed toward a safe house, but I don't think we'll make it." "Donovan, are you close to the bar?" "Leo, yes. They're still on us. I don't want anyone to get hurt, but I don't know where else to go." "Donovan, don't worry. Let them hear. I'll handle it." I didn't even ask what he meant. I turned to Derek, hope lighting up inside me for the first time in hours. "Keep driving. You'll see a bar on the left in a few minutes." "Leo, now is not the time," Derek said, eyes locked on the road. "Not to stop and drink," I said quickly. "Someone there can help us." "You have a friend out here? Since when?" I hesitated. Should I tell him it was Donovan, the guy from my past, the one Derek might not exactly approve of? If he knew, would he still drive us there? Or would he turn the car around and take our chances on the open road? "Oh, Leo, be quiet. We're being shot at, and you think Derek would care about something like that right now? Focus." "It's Donovan," I said, holding up my phone. "Who's, oh?" Derek's eyes flicked ahead. "I asked him if we could hide in his bar. It's the only chance we've got, babe. I've been down this road before. It's long and they'll catch up to us." "I see the bar," Derek said, voice steady. There it was, impossible to miss, even from far away. Bright neon signs lit up the night, motorcycles lined up in rows, a few cars scattered around. We couldn't have been luckier. As we got closer, I spotted people my age hanging out in front, laughing and chatting. My chest tightened. I hated that we were about to bring danger to them. But we had no choice. Gunfire cracked again, and a bullet whizzed past me. I screamed, ducking low, while Derek spun the car hard, weaving through the bikes. We threw the doors open and sprinted for the bar, the shots still missing us. The crowd outside screamed and rushed indoors. I followed, but stumbled and hit the ground. Before I could react, Derek yanked me up. Pain seared through my leg. I'd been hit. My body gave out, collapsing under the weight of it. "Leo!" Derek shouted, pulling me toward the entrance. "What's going on here?" A chillingly familiar voice cut through the chaos. Even through the pain, I recognized Donovan's voice. It carried an unsettling calm, a power that made people listen, sometimes with fear, sometimes with awe. I could barely focus. The pain was overwhelming, but part of me clung to humor to stay conscious. Maybe I'll be fine. It's just a leg. I could still be a one-legged Leo and pull it off. Everything suddenly went quiet. Maybe our plan worked. Maybe they only wanted Derek. But a darker thought hit me. What if they weren't trying to kill us? What if they wanted us alive? That thought chilled me more than the pain. I think they're lords, someone muttered to Donovan. The name made Donovan's expression harden. I'd only known him briefly, but he always seemed unshakably calm. Seeing him visibly angry meant things were serious. Then chaos returned. Windows shattered as bullets tore through the bar. Everyone dropped, covering their heads. Derek shielded me with his own body, holding me close as glass rained down. My eyes blurred with tears. "I love you," I mouthed to him. If I'd had the strength, I would have shielded him instead. Donovan returned, not empty-handed this time. With a shotgun in hand, he stormed toward the entrance, kicked the door open, and bellowed with thunder in his voice. "This is civilian territory. You have 5 seconds to leave. If you stay, you'll regret it." The bar fell silent. My head spun, the world fading fast. And then, darkness. When I opened my eyes, Donovan was the last person I expected to see. He sat beside my bed, scrolling through his phone, looking bored. "How dare you look so uninterested while I'm on my deathbed?" I croaked. He looked up and smiled softly. "You're finally awake." "Unfortunately," I muttered. "Do I still have 2 legs?" "You do," he chuckled. "Though it almost sounds like you didn't want to." I was ready to hop around, I whispered dramatically. He squeezed my hand gently. "I'm glad you're okay." "Thanks for helping us," I said. "Anytime." "Are you in a gang?" I blurted without thinking. He laughed. "You could say that. I'm going to start my own. I'll call it the Thickies." He played along. "Then I'll be your ally. We'll form an alliance." I laughed, really laughed. It surprised me that he could make me feel lighthearted after everything. "How long was I out?" I asked. "Just a day. You lost a lot of blood, but they were able to remove the bullet. You'll be fine." "That's good, I guess." "I'll go get Derek," he said, releasing my hand and heading for the door. When Derek walked in, his whole face softened. "Leo," he said, like a schoolboy spotting his crush. "What up?" I said, weakly throwing my hand in the air. "How are you feeling?" he asked, settling beside me. "Head hurts. The nurse will bring medicine soon," he reassured me. "Why was Donovan here?" I asked. "He and my grandma are the reason we're safe now," Derek explained. "The people after us, the lords, are enemies of Donovan's group, Deviline. When they came onto his territory, things changed." "My brain's too tired for gang politics," I mumbled. He chuckled softly. "Don't worry. You won't be alone anymore. I'll stay with you until you finish school." My eyes filled with tears. "Really? Really? I've already booked a hotel. I'll drive you every day and pick you up after class." I laughed through my tears. I love my responsible boyfriend who doubles as my chauffeur. He smiled, brushing my hair back. "You're impossible." "Did you and Donovan talk?" I teased. "Was it awkward?" "Not awkward," Derek said. Almost too calm. He asked a lot of questions, wanted to be sure nothing happened between you two when we weren't officially together. My eyebrow arched. "And what did you tell him?" "Everything," Derek admitted. Then, after a pause, "Well, not everything." I sighed, smiling faintly. "I'm just glad he was there." "Me too," Derek agreed quietly. Silence filled the room, but this time it wasn't heavy. It was warm. "It's over now," I whispered, closing my eyes. "Yeah," he said, holding my hand. "It's over." And for the first time in a long time, I actually believed it. He laughed, stood up, and pressed a gentle kiss to my forehead. "We're not even in a hospital, silly." It turned out the treasure was worth far more than we had imagined. Hidden beside a tree where his mom used to park the car, The case held more than just cash. Inside were documents, USB drives, and a letter she had written. In the letter, she explained that part of the money she had earned honestly, but the rest she had taken back from dangerous men who had stolen from others. In total, it was close to $50 million. With the help of Derek's grandmother and her businesses, that fortune was carefully invested and eventually doubled. Over the next 2 years, Derek bought us a home. Not just any home, but one I never dreamed I'd live in. It was big, beautiful, and full of light. 6 bedrooms, a sparkling pool, and a hilltop view that reminded him of his mother every time he looked out over the horizon. A few months later, I finally graduated. Derek handed me the keys to the largest room in the house, my very own office, designed for the day I became a licensed therapist. When that day finally came, I couldn't stop smiling. I was proud of myself for holding on, for fighting through the chaos, and for making my dream a reality. In the end, after all the trials and countless obstacles life threw at us, what remained was our love. It blossomed and grew like a flower, steady and strong. True love was real, and I had found my happily ever after. Thanks for listening to today's BL story. If it made your heart skip a beat, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Only here on BL Stories, where love knows no limits.